Booze and Man.
Awesome.
Hey, welcome to the podcast. This is Darian, and I have a really special guest I've been waiting for a while. My friend Tracy G. What's up, Tracy?
Hey, Darren. How's it going?
Why don't you tell people a little bit about who you've played with and where you're coming from?
I played with quite a few people over the years. Some people known, a lot of people unknown, just tons of various musicians. As musicians do, I guess we go through all types of different people to play with. But
Right.
Ronnie Dio is obviously the most known.
That's
where I met you.
Right.
And doing 6 years with him and 3 albums. One was a live album.
And before that, were you in World War III coming out of that
Yeah.
deal? Okay.
Yeah, that started it because I was in that about, I think I joined up about 90, yeah.
Were you
89,
who was in that band? Were you playing with Mickey D in that band?
Well, a few
Motorhead?
people went through that. A few people went through that band. The singer Mandy Lyon had lineups way before me. Like
Right.
he had, he did the Hollywood circuit like in the 80s, and I had heard of the band and he'd done all that. And then I joined up with him and we got this deal on Hollywood Records.
Oh,
It was like
yeah.
1990. It was
Band Graveyard.
owned by Disney. So we thought,
Totally.
Three Musketeers and then World War III. They're like one of the first metal bands they signed, actually. They signed
Wow.
a slew of bands that year, and they got a new, I guess, what's it called? Like the president of the label, Mandy's manager knew him. Don Arden is Sharon Osbourne's
Right.
father.
Wow.
So he knew Peter Paterno, and they hired Peter to be the president of Hollywood Records. So that got us our showcase, and we showcased me and Mandy and my ex-rhythm section at the time. We showcased, they liked it, but they wanted us to get more known or more of a
Some more name
caliber rhythm section. So
Right.
it was me and Mandy. The label's interested. The manager's interested. Mandy was great at what he did. He's crazy. Mandy had the whole look thing with the hat and the cape and the voice and all that thing. But he really didn't have songs built around him, like riffs. And, he didn't really have the songs, so he never really got a deal. But when I came in and I gave him the songs I had and stuff like that, then it connected with what he did, and the grooves and the riffs behind him, and they turned it into better, metal songs at least. So the management said, so now we need as a rhythm section. So here comes Jimmy Bain.
Oh, rad.
Somebody, my friend Jim, his name was Jim Marino at the time. He goes out a lot and stuff, and he was hanging out to Troubadour, and he goes, he tells us, I seen Jimmy Bain at the bar last night. I got his phone number for you guys because I know you guys need a bass player or whatever. And I go,
That's cool.
Jimmy Bain.
I know.
I
That's
go,
cool.
what? I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
I grew up on that guy. Right?
Back from
Long story short, right?
Rainbow days and
right?
stuff, right?
Come on. I'm like, oh my God, do we have to audition him? I mean, isn't he? But we met him. True story. We met him. Me and Mandy met him at El Compadre, right across from
Right.
Guitar Center.
Totally.
Great Mexican food, right? And we met him there in my little white truck. It was raining. We parked my truck in the Guitar Center parking lot across the street because it was raining, I remember. And there I am. And we'd already demoed. I had a little Tascam 4-track cassette
Yeah.
studio. They had just come out. So that's what my music was demoed, and Mandy's voice was demoed. So we talked to Jimmy, met Jimmy. Jimmy was open for it. We walked across the street. We all three got in my truck, and it was all
cranking some
rainy,
tunes.
and we put the cassette in. It all
That's
sounded
cool, dude.
shitty and distorted or whatever.
Right.
We put it in there, and I'll never forget because I was like me, and then Jimmy was in the middle, and Mandy was over there. And me and Mandy were like, it's fucking Jimmy Bain, dude.
I know.
mean,
it's like surreal, huh?
yeah.
Just sitting
And
there,
then we
what the hell?
play him our songs, like a couple songs, and he's like, in his Scottish accent or
Right.
whatever, oh, I'd love to audition for you guys, and this is fucking, it's making my hands sweat. It's so heavy.
Killer.
Or like, fuck. So, we came down and he came down, whatever, and jammed with us. And it was an instant fit with that kind of stuff we were doing. It's just
Right.
perfect.
Solid.
Then we'd still need a drummer. Mandy found another drummer. He's kind of a speed metal guy. I don't think he fitted really good, but he was, good enough. So the label took us into like a bigger studio called Cornerstone Studio.
Yeah.
You heard of that?
Place.
We went in there. I tried to get my memory bank, and this is 1989, 90, yeah, 90. And then when we're recording, we're demoing the tracks with Jimmy Bain, and Cam was his name, this other drummer, and me and Mandy. And then the label comes down and says, WEA, WEA, they're like the
Warner Electro Asylum
distributors, right? A big time distributors. They love what they heard. A few songs that we heard. Bill Montour,
Bill Matoyer.
Is that it? Yeah, is that it? Yeah, he from Metal Blade now. He's he produced that little demo or whatever it was, and I did Over the Rainbow on it, a part of it. Out of everything he recorded, we just kept Over the Rainbow. That ended up on the actual World War III album. That's from, if you see it, it'll say Bill's name on it because he recorded that. It's just a little piece of it. It's like a little Hendrix kind of, sound effect. Yeah. Sure.
And it ties in with Richie Blackmore and Jimmy Bain kind of thing.
I guess.
You had like a little musical tie-in.
Sort of, yeah.
That's
Rainbow,
cool.
Hey, Over the Rainbow. And then, exactly. And Jimmy Bain, yeah. Weah goes, this group is going to be really good. We don't want them to just make an EP. We want a whole record. But the drummer had a little bit of a timing problem, so you guys need to hire like a real studio killer cat that can bang this shit out without no flaw. So we were a little bit sad because Cam was, a friend and he was in the band. But what we're gonna do, right? They're telling us to move on. We got to hire. So me and Mandy both looked at Jimmy and goes, "Where the fuck is Vinny?" Right? Because we knew their connection, and I love Vinny's playing. Who doesn't? And Mandy did too. And then so Jimmy took the demo to Vinny. Vinny heard it and said, this is heavy shit. Let's go. And so Vinny's on the album because of that.
Wow.
And he did the tour too. He just ended up staying. And
was he still in Dio at that time?
No, he was out and Jimmy was out of both. They were both out of Dio. So it was just meant to be like, it was a perfect timing. Cool. So I find myself playing with Dio's rhythm section.
Right.
And I'm like over the, I'm like, because these songs, these riffs I gave Mandy, I actually had them in 2 or 3 groups back in 87, 88, 89. I had these riffs and they were going through different singers, trying to make them something, right? But the riffs were the riffs. Now they gave them to Mandy. He did what he did on them. And now the rhythm section is these guys. So they sound like they're supposed to sound now, right?
That's
so
cool.
I'm like pretty happy at that point. I'm like, because it's all about the music, finally. And then we did the album and all that. And then I did one tour and did some cool shows. And then after the tour, Vinny gets asked to go do Dehumanizer with Ronnie Dio and Sabbath.
Oh,
so there goes Vinny.
Okay. That's what. All right.
There goes Vinny.
Right.
And then we're left with, and Jimmy was busy on the hill with CC DeVille, I think, at that time, from what I heard. He was like out of the picture too. So me and Mandy, so we just started demoing stuff. And to back up a little bit, when Vinny left, we had to get another drummer to do some gigs, and that's where Mickey D came in and did a couple of gigs with us at the Roxy. But he was in Motorhead already.
He already was? Okay,
yeah. He just kind of, I never thought he was going to be in World War III personally because he was in Motorhead. He was just kind of doing a little off thing for us. Yeah. And he's just, phenomenal. We wrote a couple songs with him. Killer drummer.
Cool personality.
Great
too.
guy.
Funny,
fun guy. Yeah. Just Sweden, right? From Sweden. Funny guy, great drummer, little guy, right?
Yeah.
I used to say,
little guy, big hair.
Yeah, big hair. He remind me of. He always looked like Al Pacino and Scarface to me. If you just look at his face, I always would tease him, and he'd go, "Yeah, some people say that," But he came in, did some great. We tried out like Simon Wright and all these drummers to fill Vinny's place. That's where I met Ray Luzera. He was one of the drummers trying out too, like this young 19-year-old kid just ripping. The guy in Korn. You know what I'm talking about?
Right, yeah.
Now he's in Korn, but Ray. That's how I met Ray. Is he auditioned for World War III, right? But Mickey got the gig because Mickey was Mickey, and he knew all the. He was a little bit more experienced than Ray at the time and all that stuff. So Mickey did it. We did only a couple gigs with him, and then pretty soon. It's left with just me and Mandy. We're demoing songs. We lose the management. We lose everything. We're just no deal, just by ourselves. And we start to demo more songs. And then it went bad. Singer, guitar player, butt heads, and it gets stupid. Whatever. I don't want to get into all that negative shit, but it just got stupid. So we split, and then I started another band. And I'm thinking, how am I going to surpass that?
Right. Yeah.
whatever. So I start, some local guys, I start playing, and then I get a call from Vinny saying, you want to try out for Dio? You know? And I'm like,
he must have been like,
let me
whoa.
check my calendar. Yeah, I was like, what? Huh? So there I go, and in my little white propane truck again. Yeah, by myself, and there's Vinny, and there's Jimmy, which is my old rhythm section.
Right. And you were already comfortable
but
playing with them.
no Mandy. Now it's Ronnie Dio instead of Mandy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hello.
Yeah,
Like, are you kidding me? Like, it was just almost like, fuck, because up to that point, I was about 30 years old then. Up to that point, nothing really went that great with music. I mean, I did all the parties, and I did all the gigs, and I did all the local stuff like everybody does, and paid the dues and everything. But it was just kind of professionally, like, not going really great. I mean, but I was playing and learning, but no deals and no tours and no real shit like that until the Vinny and Jimmy, experience. And then from there, they told Ronnie, listen to this World War III album. And later Ronnie told me he heard it and he fucking hated it. He goes, Tracy, I know you're my guitar player now, but he goes, I got to tell you, that singer was so fucked up. I couldn't even get this. Is Ronnie talking.
Radical different style.
Yeah. I mean, and I go, yeah, I know. It's not a cup. It's not everybody's cup of tea. And he didn't even really listen. He thought my guitar playing was just because I'm into making a lot of sounds and a lot of noise and a lot of
totally.
right. And he was like, he didn't really get it. He
wasn't sure how it was going to fit.
He didn't get it. He didn't really get it. But he had me come down and play with Vinny and Jimmy. And the thing is I'd already toured with them, so. When I walk into the room with them, it was like we're already a band. I'm comfortable, and they're comfortable. So Ronnie almost couldn't deny it.
Right.
He almost couldn't deny. He just kind of went because he had the world to pick. I mean, any guitar player in the world almost would want to get that gig. I mean, almost,
sure.
I would say.
But a big part of the big part of picking somebody like that is the chemistry with the whole band.
You're 1,000,000% right, dude. I mean,
you can get somebody that totally shreds, but if he's like causing problems in the band, it's like nobody wants to play with him.
This guy wasn't a problem, but here's a good example. Like Vinny Moore came the day before me.
Oh, wow.
I mean, fuck, man. That guy's amazing.
Shreds. Yeah, he's
I could never play the shit that guy did.
I don't know. He wouldn't be the right fit for that band.
But listen, I go, Vinny, like, after I got the gig and we were talking about shit, I go, what the fuck was wrong with him? I mean, he's the man. He goes, you know what? We couldn't hear him. I go, what? Because we had a time to turn up like 4 times. We couldn't hear him.
Wow.
I go, wow. Are you kidding me?
I wonder if he felt like self-conscious.
I don't know. I go, that guy's, he's phenomenal.
Yeah, he is.
But I mean, again, it's not always just about you're the best looking guy. You're the best shredder. It's like you said, it just has to be right. It has to feel right. And the chemistry has to feel right. And me and Vinny and Jimmy musically, we'd already made music. I mean, so when we locked into a groove, like I played no Dio songs ever for the audition. It was just jamming.
Wow.
No, because everybody thinks, what Dio songs did you have to play? Did you have to play the solos right and all that? No. He wanted a new guy that could write new shit for him, and that's exactly what I did on that first album.
Right. He wanted a new sound, basically.
He wanted a new sound. He was in experimental mode, I think. I think he just wanted to try something new. He wanted to write different things with his lyrics. He changed a little on the lyrics. He didn't do the rainbows and stuff so much. He went more about like politicians and
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, the lyrics on the first album. But Angry Machines, that came later, that started to kind of
come back a
get
little bit.
weird, and they were kind of like Strange Highway's better, and it has more of a flow because he just said, this guy Tracy is my guitar player, here's my rhythm section, let's just play music. And we did. And I just brought in riffs that I had. I mean, it just flowed.
Awesome.
And there was nobody thinking, nobody saying this. And then when Angry Machines came in, all the brains got in the way and the record companies changed, second guessing. And you hear that, unfortunately. I think there's still some great shit on there, but you hear the tension, the ungood tension, but that's the way it goes, man.
There's a lot to cover with you because you've had a lot of stuff going on in your career, but let's get to some stories because I want to come back to that.
Okay.
We'll start with something kind of light. These are all just crazy random stories you'll hear. So here's the first one. Detroit EMT suffers heart attack on the job. Imagine if you started having a heart attack at work, you'd probably drop everything to get medical care. But for Detroit EMT Joseph Hardman, that wasn't an option. Hardman and his partner were in the middle of treating and transporting a patient who was having a serious heart attack when Hardman began experiencing symptoms of his own.
Wow.
I didn't need a machine to tell me I was having a heart attack, said Hardman, because all the symptoms are present with the heart attack. I was pretty much having them all. Can you imagine? It's your job to help people when you're having heart attacks and you start having one.
That's insane.
Totally insane.
That's crazy, dude. That's kind of like almost ironic, like almost like you think like, is this a joke? Is this really happening?
Well, here's the crazy part. He goes, despite his own distress, a 40-year-old EMT finished caring for his patient. Hardman warned his partner who was driving that there'd be 2 patients instead of 1 when they arrived at DMC Hartford University Hospital. That's pretty heavy.
Wow.
I mean, how solid is it for the guy to just troop on and help the other dude, help the patient while he's having a heart attack?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Where do you find the stories at, dude?
On internet. It's still insane, dude. I mean, it's totally
sometimes
insane.
sometimes I see a couple of your posts and they are kind of like that. Now that I think they're like, you
Here's
say,
well,
check
I gotta
this
try
out.
to save the good ones,
Some
you
weird
know?
shit.
Save the good ones for the show.
Where's this guy find this weird shit?
Check this out. Lodi police officer shot when child pulled trigger on his gun at reading event.
What?
A Lodi police SWAT officer had a Glock 35 and a flashlight in his thigh holster at a children's reading event when the boy managed to pull the trigger and shoot the officer. How do you manage to? I mean, you probably want to have a gun with a safety on it if you're going to hang out with the little children. Actually, do you even want to have a gun if you're going to be in a room with little kids?
I don't know.
I mean,
you should.
It doesn't have an external safety or anything like that. The gun functioned how it was supposed to. When the trigger is pulled, the gun went off, said Lieutenant Garcia.
Did it shoot?
That's
Did
awesome.
it shoot the guy?
Yeah, he was shot.
Oh man.
I wonder where he shot, in the leg or something.
Oh.
The bullet hit the officer's leg. He was taken to a hospital for a minor injury and released. A small child, witnesses say he was 6 to 8 years old, was able to walk up to the officer and pull the trigger. I mean, that is, talk about being.
That's insane.
Yeah, I think you'd feel like a fool. 5-year-old shoots you. With your own gun.
It's insane. Yeah, you find some trippy stuff, dude.
I got a real good one for you. Swedish men warned of crotch-chomping fish.
So they can't go in the river or whatever because of.
You better tell Mickey about this. Swedish men have been warned to keep their swimwear on while bathing in Öresund Sound off the southern coast of Sweden. I probably wrecked that pronunciation. After a relative of the piranha was discovered in the area.
That's insane.
Ever since a fisherman reeled in a 21-centimeter pacu at the Öresund Sound off southern Sweden, experts have been on alert. The fish species, a relative to the notorious piranha, caused the museum staff in nearby Denmark to put out a warning. Keep your swimwear on if you're bathing in the Sound these days. The fish, the crazy thing about the way they phrase this, you might have heard about this story. It happened a while ago, but it said the pacu is not normally dangerous to people, but it has quite a serious bite. There have been incidents in other countries, such as Papua New Guinea, where some men have had their testicles bitten off.
What?
Yeah, that's not good.
Wow.
While Carl said the museum's warning about the pacu, sometimes known as ball cutter, was meant as a bit of fun. Human victims of the pacu are rarely laughing.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah, that's not happening.
That's a painful subject.
Of course, it usually eats nuts, fruit, and small fish, but human testicles are just a natural target.
Oh, man.
That is definitely send a memo to Mickey immediately.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be good.
Those are supposed to be in Sweden?
Yeah.
Is that what they say?
They found them in Sweden.
Fuck.
Not good.
That's crazy.
Here's a bad story. I said, start with something light. This is where it goes bad. Right here.
Okay.
Green Acres man accused of decapitating roommate and tells cops things got a little carried away. Like, what in the hell possesses these people?
What?
Check this out. A little carried away. Gerard Longo once described Scott Tobiason as a violent man who brags about his fighting ability and just how bad he is. And he owns knives, axes, machetes, and switchblades. He sharpens knives as a hobby. But
oh, no.
yeah. And this dude got a restraining order against him. For some reason, they ended up roommates. And Tobiason, 49, is in Palm Beach County Jail, accused of killing Longo, 48, and then removing his head and limbs from his torso. Green Acres police were first notified of Longo's murder Tuesday night. Tobiason then told his girlfriend, and he told her not to tell anyone. And then she called the police, and they spotted a man with blood on his shoes, holding what appeared to be a tote bag in his hands. Detectives would later find out a gruesome discovery. Longo's legs in a plastic bag, his head and arms in the tote. Police interviewed him, and he... This is not really funny, but it's for some reason I'm laughing. Because when they interviewed him...
Because it's over the top.
He said things just got a little carried away. That's in the affidavit. Like, how do you go there? How do you just, like, go cross the line like that?
Yeah, that's just a little carried away, yeah.
I think this guy's just totally...
Oh, man, there's some people out there. I don't know.
I think that guy is,
Where was this at?
going to jail
Did you
for a
say
long
where
time.
this was at? Where was
Palm
that?
Beach,
Oh.
Florida.
Oh.
A lot of these stories are from Florida.
Let's go visit Florida.
This is an old one, but it's pretty crazy. For some reason, it caught my attention. Man killed himself with giant souvenir pencil. Coroner baffled by bizarre death. A window cleaner died after stabbing himself in the groin repeatedly with a jumbo souvenir pencil, an inquest heard. Jeffrey Burton's family and friends were baffled by his bizarre death, which was recorded as an open verdict because there's no evidence he was trying to commit suicide. I don't get it. What was he trying to do then? This is when police broke into his house, they find Mr. Burton lying on his back wearing only underpants. The room was splattered with blood and music was still playing on the stereo. I wonder what the music was. A giant blood-covered pencil was beside him, and he had a deep gash on his upper thigh. I mean...
Makes me think about those pencils you get at Knott's Berry Farm and stuff.
Totally.
Right?
I know.
Or
That's what I was
Disneyland.
thinking.
A big old pencil, yeah.
East Sussex coroner Adam Craze told the Hastings inquest, "It's a mystery to me. If you were choosing to take your own life, that's not the way you would do it." I don't get it.
Whack.
And then he says, "It seems to me it can't have been a single stab wound. He seemed to have worked on it. The pencil was blunt." So, I mean...
Was it even sharp?
Wouldn't that be pretty painful?
Oh.
Here's back to wacky stuff. A little mellower. That was a little gnarly. We got really gnarly really quick. Having trouble with your aim? Chinese contraption helps you pee straight. So apparently, China. I don't know what's going on, but they're trying to find people that like piss all over the toilet, I guess, or whatever, public toilets.
Yeah.
Because I guess it's a big problem in China. And so an entrepreneur in southern city of Shenzhen has unveiled a contraption designed to help those who miss the mark at the urinal, the pee straight. That's what he calls it. The invention came in the wake of a new law known as the Shenzhen City Public Toilet Management Act, which allows sanitation managers and other officials to slap a $15 fine on those caught making a mess of municipal toilets while relieving themselves. The law also cracks down on anybody defacing, littering, and smoking in public privies. This guy created a funnel affixed to what appears to be a 10-inch piece of tube pipe. The device comes in his or her versions.
No.
Hers has a shorter pipe and is being marketed to those who have trouble with their aim. I mean, there's always some guy coming up with
He's actually selling those?
Yeah. He's selling them for $1.65 a unit.
Oh my god.
It's not that much. He might be able to make a
to help you pee straight. Wow. It sounds like you made that up.
Yeah,
Doesn't sound
all these
real.
stories sound fake.
Yeah,
but
they
it's
sound
just
fake, but they're all
crazy.
real. Wow.
Yeah. So
I don't even know what to say about that one.
I would say, I thought it was pretty gnarly, but it's only $1.65. I don't know if you would need a funnel. I mean, you'd probably have to be pretty hammered to need a funnel.
God.
I don't know. That's weird.
But on that little note, a little bit. Maybe you guys have seen it, but have you ever went into a public, restroom like that, and sometimes someone has made a mess of it, but they peel everything. But I seen like shit like everywhere, like on the walls and shit. And I think to myself, I think to myself, how does it get on the wall?
That's
you know,
like
I have
purposeful.
seen.
It's purposeful. People are like,
it's like they're. I guess they're doing that on purpose. Or
that's nasty.
I've seen that. I'm like,
Ugh.
fuck, man. Yeah, I'm just like, it's a little bit more than the pee. I know.
Was that in this country? Okay.
Where was it? It was like back east somewhere, I think.
Huh.
Was it in this country? South America.
Check out this one. Couple arrested for shacking up at Home Depot. You know those little sheds that you buy, like tool sheds or whatever?
Yeah.
A South Carolina couple was arrested yesterday after having sex inside a display shed at a Home Depot. Emily Craig, 20, and Sean Bowden, 31, were nabbed after cops were called to the store in North Charleston around 8:40 a.m. Wow. Officers were dispatched to the business in reference to a male and female entering the display shed on the property and closing the door behind themselves and remaining inside. So, I guess when the cops rolled up, she was partially closed. The top of her dress was untied, hanging at her waist. Bowden was shirtless and had his pants down near his knees. I mean, yeah, that's probably not a good place to try to. I mean, especially not like during business hours. Probably not a good idea.
I don't think so.
Some of these stories are just like you said, you go, is this real or is this like just made up?
Is it like it's almost sound made up? Like,
yeah.
It's like I'm not shocked really, because these days, I mean, you hear so much weird shit, but to really know some of them are real, you just think like, what?
Yeah.
I mean,
people are a
trip.
Yeah, the sort of overarching theme of the podcast is just people are totally insane. Like mind-boggling.
The name of my new album is called. The name of the band is Pain Savior, but the name of the album is Dead Weight on a Dying Planet. So that's exactly pretty much what that means is what we're talking about. Just like people that are like some of these people. I mean, it's like, huh?
Yeah.
Like, and that's
what were you thinking?
Dead Weight on a Dying Planet. That the singer, of course, came up with that one. It's one of the lyrics in one of the songs, and I'm like, let's call the album that because there's so many fucked up people. Okay.
Speaking of craziness, what's the craziest thing you've seen on the road? Like, just people out of control.
And this isn't that crazy. It's just that it's funny. This is funny to me, but a lot of people used to like to jump on. They like to jump on stage and touch Ronnie or try to grab him or like Okay, that's only crazy. But what's funny about it is to me is a couple of times Ronnie was a pretty short guy.
Right.
He's 5'2". He's a little guy. And even girls that would come up would be taller than him. But generally speaking, but some big guys come up, and sometimes if his personal or his roadie or whatever didn't make it up there quick enough, Ronnie would like kick him off. I see him like kick him off a couple times, and we're trying to play, and I would see this, and I would just be I'm cracking up, going like it's just so. Nobody got hurt or anything. It's just he would just kind of go through the motions with his foot, like kind of like he would really physically kick him, but sort of like it's just funny to see. I'm just trying to think of, crazy stuff. When you ask me that, I just think of the funny things that happened. It's all based around the Dio tours, pretty much. The World War III tours were pretty cool, pretty out there, and a lot of them had to do with girls.
Yeah.
I don't know. Want to go there, but a lot of them had to do with seeing a lot of that shit. And everybody knows it probably would be listening to that bands go on the road and you got a tour bus and then you got groupies and then you can figure the rest out. The shit that happens is like people that don't do that would probably not even believe some of that stuff that would happen.
Right.
That those girls would do to just get on that bus or you could go on. Darren's like, go ahead. He wants to hear it. I don't even know. I just think like the funny things. Seeing Ronnie get in a fight with the bass player once in the dressing room after the gig. I saw him got in a fight with the keyboard player once.
Wow.
To me, that's kind of funny too.
Like a physical fight?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, almost. Well, yeah, really yelling in the face, and then, it was broken up before it got physical, but the guy had to get in between. it just
Wow,
to me,
heavy.
it's like, wow, really? We just got off stage, yeah. Because people on the road, they piss you off and you get in each other's nerves. We know all that.
Yeah, and
but
you don't have that much of a break from them either.
no,
with
if someone's really
somebody all
bugging
the
you,
time.
they would throw duct tape at the keyboard player and stuff. just they're all funny stories, and no one
Right.
really got hurt or anything. It's just
You know, the thing that blew me away is when I went to South America with you guys,
yeah.
because I'm looking out toward the crowd, and some of those people in some of those places, they didn't look like a normal average fan like what you see here. People having like a really good time. Some of those people look like they're in the middle of a religious experience. Like it was a totally different look than I had ever seen
you
before.
totally are 1,000% right, because I noticed it too. In South America, you were there.
Yeah.
In South America, like you said, I noticed the whole crowd response and the chanting your name and waiting for you at the hotel room. It was a whole nother level of you guys are like Led Zeppelin,
Right.
than
Like
in the
Beatlemania
States.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really was. I noticed the difference. I was like, wow. I mean, when we would finish some of those gigs and go eat Indian food afterwards, like we'd get in like that little bus, and you were probably in there with us. I don't remember. They were like following the bus with their little either running bicycles or little like motorcycles, whatever they had. They were like chasing us, physically. I'm like, as far as they could keep up,
Yeah.
almost like it was in a movie.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and I was like, wow, And then at the gigs, you saw it in their face. And when I'd come down from the in the lobby at the hotel room, they'd be saying my full name. Like I go
Wow,
by
that's
Tracy
rad.
G, but my name's Grijalva. It's Spanish, so South America, and they'd be saying it, Mr. Grijalva, Mr. Grijalva. They'd be saying it, in the Spanish thing, and they were just your soul runs through our street, yours and Richie Blackmore's, and they just were
Wow,
real heavy.
that's
Like
heavy, yeah.
I'd be like,
I remember you admonished me one time because I opened the window to look outside and you just hear, and you're like, dude, close that window.
yeah. I mean, they don't act like that
It
over
was
here.
crazy.
They don't
No,
act like that over
I had
here.
no idea.
And they're behind a little bit, meaning like I think they like. I don't know if you remember, there was bands. Some of the kids opening it up for us, like and playing like White Snake covers and stuff, and that was already old then, but it was new then. They were
Right,
acting like
yeah.
it was new. They were
Yeah.
acting like
Because there were a lot
metal,
of bands, like the
metal
bands
was,
on that tour were like Bruce Dickinson,
yeah, Bruce
Jason
Dickinson,
Bonham,
yeah, Scorpions,
Scorpions.
but I mean, and us, and which are older groups basically, but
Yeah, but they're fully
not.
into it.
Oh, they were fully like treating us like the Beatles or Led Zeppelin. You remember?
So, I mean, was that,
Why
do you
is
think,
that?
because you've been all over the world,
Yeah,
did
is
you
that-
think that was the strongest reaction of any place?
One of them, yeah. That one, that was definitely the most. People were into it and over the top with the
Right.
chanting and just
Singing all
there
the
wanting
words. And
autographs and wanting to touch you and wanting to again act like the Beatles or the Led Zeppelin, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I don't know what makes them. I don't know if it's the country or maybe they're more hungry for it. Maybe they appreciate
I think
it
at that
more.
time it was they had
I
less
don't
bands
know.
coming through. Now they
Yeah,
have more, but
maybe, and now it's maybe a little. That was in the '90s, I don't know, but I really noticed the difference here in the States. You have a whole lot of just people, standing back with their arms closed, just kind of check,
then you
more
have the heavy metal
attitude,
parking lot people.
attitude, the whole New York vibe, a little bit like,
Right.
show us what you can do thing. Over there, I didn't notice any of that kind of attitude. It
No,
was just all
none of
like,
that. But what
girls
about
and- girls
did you guys
and
ever
guys.
did you guys ever go to Bulgaria when you were in the band?
I don't know.
There's the craziest thing.
I don't know.
Actually, Don Dawkins showed me that he took a picture of it, and there's a statue, like a bronze statue, or maybe it's rock or something of Ronnie in this park in Bulgaria.
Oh, I think I
You
seen
ever
it on
see
the. I
that?
seen it on the internet.
It's
but
like the
no, I never
craziest
been,
thing.
I've never been
ever.
there to see.
He
it.
didn't even know it was there. He was just cruising through the park, and then all of a sudden,
They
there's a
they make
statue
they
of
make
Ronnie.
they made the statue of Ronnie.
Yeah, huge. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's like way into it.
Oh
Super fan.
no, they're all Europe in general. Like South America, I guess not Europe, but South America, Japan,
Japan.
but all Europe. They take in this metal stuff a lot more serious, I think, than here. I mean, I don't know if that's correct to say that, but it just seems like they're just like.
Yeah, it seems like metal has always been kind of bigger in Europe than here.
Yeah,
especially
Germany,
when it was more underground, you know.
I mean, Germany. I mean, our first tour was in Athens, Greece, with Ronnie. The Acropolis is up on the hill. You know,
Yeah,
what's going on? What is that? You know,
Right.
I had never been nowhere, and I was like, but the people. I mean, it was just always more like received. When I was in the band, we played Germany most. I said, so dark and freezing in the winter and cold on a Tuesday, Wednesday night. Who's gonna go to their house? It's 0 degrees. There's gonna be a line of kids around the thing, and I'm like, but that's what they're used to doing. And I go, well, Germany's like our biggest market over here. That's where we sell most records. I go, really?
Wow.
Really? I didn't know. You know, I'm like, wow. You know, and yeah. So they would send you. They have a way of finding out where you sell the most records, I guess, right? And
Yeah.
they'd say they would know where your markets are the best. L.A. wasn't one of his biggest markets at all. I mean, when I was in the band, L.A., which I would think, fuck, great, right? No, it was like I played here. I played House of Blues with him and Universal Amphitheater, and that's it. On the whole 6 years I was with him, and the closest,
Wow, that's crazy.
the closest I got to it again was Vegas. Maybe we played, but I mean, we never played where I lived.
So what was the
Santa
what was
Ana.
the biggest market for you
Santa-
guys in the U.S.? Like maybe Midwest? area?
Midwest.
Yeah.
Midwest,
Yeah,
yeah. I'm
totally.
like, and why? You know, again, here we go. What's the biggest market? It's in the, Ohio and all that, whatever. You know, that
Right.
Midwest. Yeah, I'm like Corpus Christi, Texas, through Texas and all that stuff. Yeah, like not so much the coasts.
Right.
It's like in there where they don't get as much shit. Maybe they don't. I don't know. Maybe they're California, New York, Chicago. They see and hear everything, right? But Iowa,
Yeah.
or maybe the
They're happy when anything goes.
maybe
through,
the
probably.
corn guys come from or something. I mean, maybe because they're just more sheltered from it or something. I don't know. You really notice it when you travel and you play different culture in different countries and culture. You see the people, they act different towards what you do.
Yeah.
Generally, it's all good. I mean, it's not like everybody
Yeah,
goes.
but it's different
but
levels.
It's
Yeah,
different
some
levels
stronger
of
than
good.
others,
Some's like
reaction.
really, really, really strong and like whoa, and some are like, it's weird.
I don't know if this is kind of I think it's been enough time where you got some distance from it, but you were talking about on the record where some tensions started to mount a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you feel like people were having a reaction to, because you always to me had a really unique sound, and do you feel like people maybe were like they expect a certain kind of sound or style in a metal band like that, especially with Dio,
Yes.
there's this sort of like lineage.
Yeah.
And then you come in, you're like, it's weird. I don't know what you think about this, but to me, you always reminded me almost like a metal Steve Stevens, because you had a lot of crazy, like
He's amazing.
noise effects and crazy things
No, he's
that
great.
that I hadn't heard before in that style of music,
Right. No, I everything you're saying, it's dead on. It's like Dio, a band like any big band like Dio, say they were big in the 80s. They're already established. They sold tons of records. They have a core following. They have a core fan base. They've sold a lot of records to people. They've made it. They're successful. They could play Madison Square Gardens and sell it out. They're in.
Right.
And then, time goes, and then they change members, and they change a guitar player, which it's a guitar-driven
Yeah, it's a
band.
signature
So
of the band. Yeah.
it's going to have a lot of, change in what it does unless you get a guy who fits the mold you've already been doing, like,
Right,
or
right.
is just a puppet, or is a chameleon that can just play like anybody you want him to play. I'm none of that.
Right.
I'm just whatever I am. Whatever it is, it is. And when I came in, I got the gig because of who I am and what I do and the few things I'd done before that, and how I played with Vinny and Jimmy. And he never once said, play a solo like my ex-guitar player, play like Tony Iommi, play like Richie Blackmore, he never once said that. In fact, if anything, he didn't want that. He wanted me. He said I was a combination of them all.
Mm-hmm.
He said, killer, great, go. And then I was taken in places where he didn't normally go. Now, that's all beautiful musically, and it's all perfect for me and for them at the time. But his fans are going to be like, they're not all going to be accepting of that. So I got the backlash of I got a lot of new fans over that. I do still. A lot of people say that's their favorite shit ever. But
Wow.
then a lot of them are like, fuck you. Like, like fuck what you sucked. You can't play like their other guitar players. You just make a bunch of noise. You ruin all the old deal stuff, anything to do, and that's and that's you're gonna have that, and I'm cool with it all because I know I'm just being myself. So,
but it seemed like live you did try to stay pretty true to the original. Like, I mean, when you have a staple like Holy Diver, you can't really start getting all experimental weird on it.
You mean like mostly like some of the chords I would change a little bit, but most of the rhythms.
When you're
right?
doing
But
the solos and stuff, it's pretty close.
When I'm doing the solos, to me,
the spirit of it.
To me, it was I would take the original, which was Vivian Campbell, and I would learn, like I think you do, or any guitar player, anybody who plays would probably do that. If you got to learn a cover or something, and it comes to the solo, you take the skeleton,
riffs,
the skeleton of the signature parts that pop out and that are memorable to you,
right?
And you have those, and then everything in between, you do what you do. You do whatever you do. It's a lot of it's improv, a lot of it's improvising. But again, on my behalf, that's how I learned. And when I went to see Jeff Beck or Jimmy Page or Richie Blackmore, Tony Iommi, or Ted Nugent, or anybody I grew up on, none of them played the solos. None of them played their own solos the way they went. They all were improvising.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And that's how I play. So
Right.
that's how I play because that's what I learned. I don't ever play the same solo night for night, exactly the same thing. I would be bored out of my mind. That's not even me feeling the music. That's just playing. And this is just a signature part that you do that, it's like almost like a vocal part. But let's face it, most Dio guitar players before me, as far as I'm concerned, have had very little signature parts. I mean, like, they're not like me trying to copy like a Beck solo or something.
Right.
They're like improvising 90% of the time. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah,
and then I got a
most
couple
of it.
parts that go, I mean, so I'm just only copying the ones that stick out to me that, and then the rest I would improvise and play for the given
Did you ever
night.
meet any of the older guys? Like, did you ever meet Viv?
I met Vivian one time at a World War III gig. He was there with Jimmy and Vinny hanging out with him. I met him.
So
once.
you weren't in the band yet,
I was in the band. I was in World War III, yeah.
but you weren't in Dio yet.
No.
Oh, okay.
While I was in Dio, did I meet any of them? You asked
Yeah.
me? Only
Or since you've
Rowan.
been-
Only Rowan.
Yeah.
Rowan, yeah, the younger guy. Really cool, nice
he's a
guy.
cool guy, yeah.
Real cool guy. Met him, but I met Craig at Jeff Pilson's house when Jeff Pilson got married. I met Craig it was just hi, but I
Right.
never spoke with him and had a conversation with him or much with Vivian or Rowan was the only other guy. And then after me, there was Doug, I think, and I never met him
Doug's-
either. Yeah.
I think he's in Whitesnake now or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. He does a few things. Yeah.
So, I mean, what were...
Did I answer that question? I mean,
yeah, you did. But I was wondering...
Oh, you said something about tension.